It's week 8 of the high school football season on here on Inside the Zone. We got some big games to talk about. None bigger than a showdown in the SAC. He's Justin, I'm Glenn, and Justin, Snider Dwenger week. It's when you circle at the beginning of the season. It always plays a role as far as the SAC championship goes, but the SAC title literally goes through this game.
Yeah, winner really has the momentum. But, Dwenger in that little rut, 3-game losing streak, but you looked at the quality of opponents that they have played with LaSalle and Wayne and then Cathedral last week. And, their offense is kind of slow, but a little sluggish. But, again, quality of opponents, they should be ready to play against Snider.
It's funny that you mentioned quality of opponents because that was kind of the one thing that stood out to me about Snider. Now, obviously, Penn is a good quality team, but as far as SAC teams, they haven't played a team that will finish in the top half of the SAC since week 1 against Lures. So any concern that because you haven't played a top-level SAC team in a while, that there might be any rust to kick off or anything like that, like you might not be ready?
It's an interesting theory, because like you mentioned, they haven't really been challenged. These games that they have kind of beaten up on opponents really haven't been close, so they really haven't played down to their opponents. And, they were on the ropes against Lures week 1. Since then, we really haven't seen them tested in a win other than loss to Penn, obviously. But this is going to be a big game, and it's kind of a lot of unknowns because, where's Dwenger at losing 3 straight? Where's Snider at? Because, like you mentioned, we really haven't seen him challenged since that Penn game.
The history of this series is fantastic. I mean, in the last 30 years, it's been Snider 20 wins, Dwenger 10, but really in the last 5 to 10 years, all these games have been close except for the 43-0 game in, 2012.
Yeah.
But you're talking about a couple of, an overtime game a few years ago, a double overtime game, and then a 3-point game last year. What is it about this series that allows these teams, no matter how they finish the regular season, to match up well against each other?
I just think it's strength against strength. Both of these teams are really blue-collar teams. They're really strong in the trenches. They're really fundamentally sound, don't hurt themselves too much with mistakes. So it's really kind of a mirror image of each other in terms of two teams that are really solidly coached and again, really don't make mistakes and kind of aren't flashy, aren't spectacular, but get the job done year in and year out.
If you're Bishop Dwenger, I was listening to part of the broadcast on Redeemer Radio this past weekend and caught the end of it this past Friday night. Caught the end of it. They mentioned, it was a 9-7 Dwenger lead at half, but big offensive line for Indianapolis Cathedral and a good running game kind of wore them down to a certain extent in the second half, allowed Cathedral to win 24-9. That's Snider's strength. Offensive line play, running the football. How big of a concern is that if you're Chris Schwarzkopf, knowing that you went against a power run team last week and eventually it ended up wearing on them in the end?
Yeah, I think to a certain extent it's a challenge, but also, we're seeing the exact same thing this week. So we saw what didn't work, what we need to work on over the next 6 days, and I think it's the best case scenario for Dwenger in the fact that they faced a similar team at Cathedral and what Snider's going to show them on Friday. So, we've seen what we need to do, and now we'll see if they can improve on it and be ready on Friday night.
Snider will go in as the favorite in this one. What does Dwenger have to do to be successful?
Score points. I mean, the last 3 weeks, the quality of opponent has been up, but they haven't put points on the board. And talking to Coach Schwarzkopf yesterday, and he said, I asked him, is the offense struggling, or is it the fact that you're playing some state-ranked teams? And he said, more the latter, but there's definitely some things we need to work on offensively. So he said the biggest thing for them is just staying positive and staying healthy with these big games, especially going into the 4A playoffs. But he's really not worried, and Coach Schwarzkopf can put a face on. He may be worried behind the scenes, but he's not going to let us know. But it just sounded like we're not scoring points, but we're not in panic mode yet.
I'll ask you the same question for Snider. What do they need to be most concerned with? What's going to be a big key for the Panthers on Friday?
Limited turnovers and really getting that running game going. Money Woods has been really impressive the last couple of weeks. Isaac Stiebling has done a great job in protecting the football, and he was kind of thrown in once Colton Painter got hurt, and he's got 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions this year. He's their second leading rusher this year behind Money Woods. So, Stiebling has just been that steadying, presence that maybe there was some iffy moments once Colton Painter went out. What are they going to do? But Isaac Stiebling has really been a solid quarterback for them.
All right, so it should be a good game on Friday night there in the SAC.